We're going to step away from movies for a minute. We're going to talk about some music, all right? Now, Nas just dropped his new album, King's Disease. Now, anybody who knows me, y'all know that Nas is my favorite MC of all time. Right now, this album is dope as fuck. I've been listening to it all day, and man, my man came through with it. I do want to give this album a few more listens before I give it an in-depth review, but today I'm going to be ranking my favorite Nas albums from worst to best. Hope you guys like this video. Give me a like. Before we get into it, let's dive into a couple of things here, all right? Now, I'm not going to be including the new album into this list, mainly because it's so fresh in my head. I have to give it a couple more listens before I know exactly where I want to place it. All right, so knowing that, we're only going to be going over his official 11 records. In that regard, Lost Tapes is not going to be on this list. Now, Lost Tapes is a Nas classic. In my point of view, he has 5 classic records. You know, you can debate me on that all you want to, but he got 5 classic records. And Lost Tapes is one of them, so I do want to shout that album out. So it's not going to be on this list because it's not the official full-length record. But other than that, let's get into it. Kicking off number 11, we're going to go with Nostradamus. It's hard to fault Nas for this record right here, mainly because I know that back in 99 when he was making this record, this was actually going to be a double record titled I Am Nostradamus. Bootlegs came out, record was leaked, so, you know, it went from a double record to, 2 releases in 1 year. I think the record really lost a lot of steam because of that. I think that plays a role in why the record just didn't come out the way that he intended to. Now, to be fair, Nas is my favorite MC of all time, but no one gets a pass, right? I don't think just because somebody's your favorite rapper or actor or whatever the case may be, I think as a fan, you can still be very critical of their body of work. So, you know, Nostradamus is going to be at the bottom for me for that one. Even though the record didn't come out the way it was intended to, and then some of the leaks came out, the songs were still made. You still made those songs, man. So it's just it's just a weak project. I think it's the only bad record in his whole discography. Everything else on this list I do like to a certain extent. Still a few misses when it comes down to overall body of work, and we'll dive into that once we go through the list. Top 3 tracks on that album. Number 3, I'll go with Come Get Me. Number 2, the title track, Nostradamus. Best track on the record for me is going to be Project Window. Diving into number 10 on this list, Nasir. I think the biggest problem with this record is that it was just super rushed. You know, just based on the tweet that Kanye sent out, it didn't seem like it was the pace of the artist at that point. Everything gathered up and then boom, Kanye tweets. So it just feels very rushed. It feels very uninspired. But all in all, I still do like the record. I think it's a decent album. As far as my favorite 3 tracks on this record, I'm going to go with number 3 being Cop Shot the Kid. I think the back and forth between Ye and Nas is very, very dope. Still a relevant track. 2 on that album is going to be Adam and Eve, man. Dope storytelling, the pianos on the production. I like how he puts everything full circle as far as, like, you know, even he's still enjoying the fruits, everything that comes with success. You know, so even he's guilty as far as putting himself in that Adam and Eve category. So, but the number 1 track that I like on this record, man. Now, I didn't even like this song when I first heard the album. It took me a couple listens for this one to really be like, yo, man, he is going in, man. And that sample, man, I didn't like the sample because, you know, for me, it was just too repetitive in the beginning. But White Label, god damn, he's going bars in that one, man. So White Label on Nasir does it for me for that record. Moving on to number 9, we're going to go with the 2006 release, Hip Hop is Dead. Now with this album, I think there was a point in Nas's career to where his concepts were overshadowing the body of work, you know, and I think hip hop, I think it started with this album. Mid 2000s, if you were there remembering, listening to hip hop at that time, you would know that it was just oversaturated with all this, you know, commercial, one note kind of music that was coming out, you know, within the culture. And it was just bad, like, it was like a lot of the legends were being, not even just the legends, even if he was just a new dude who was just spitting bars, like you wasn't getting no play whatsoever. It was just a crazy time. Like, it was just like music industries didn't know what to do. You know, ringtones was just popping. They trying to make dollars off ringtones and shit. It was just crazy, you know, how things were playing out in that time. So the concept of hip hop is dead is a powerful statement for that time right there. I think the record fell short for me as far as, not fell short because it's a dope ass record. I still like the record, but I think as far as it being so low on the list, it just sounds too polished for me. On paper, you got Kanye West, you got Snoop, you got Game, you got Jay. So just looking at it, you know, it was dope. The concept just overdid the body of work, man, but it's still a dope ass record, man. My top 3 for Hip Hop is Dead, man, at number 3. I like the concept for Who Killed It. That song is dope. It ain't no song that you would just bump, like, you know, to get hype, but and Nas is so dope with this shit, man, when he's doing his concepts, man. But he does this like film noir type of shit. It's like this this detective type story as far as like who killed hip hop. And the shit is just so dope. That might be my number 1. I might have to switch my ranking on that record, man. That is, just talking about it made it just bump up. Black Republican, I think that track is dope. Jay and Nas come with some dope ass shit. Third record on that one is gonna be Money Over Bullshit, man. Wow, what a nice way to open up that record, man. It's just, you know, the whole, you know, East Coast cartel, you know, he's just spitting like just dope ass shit throughout the whole track, man. So that's fire. Moving on to number 8, man, I'm gonna go with the Untitled record. Real Nas fans, y'all know what to call it. Y'all know what it is. But yeah, man, this is the same as Hip Hop is Dead, man. This is the same thing I was talking about as far as the Nas concepts overshadowing the body of work. Again, this is another dope ass record. I love the bars on this record. Production wise, I never really listened to Nas for production. And I think that's the thing that people confuse. A lot of people like to call out that Nas's production is weak. You listen to Nas, but you know, to each its own. My top 3 for this one, man, I love Breathe. I love how he flips the chorus on there, you know. Second track on that one's gonna be You Can't Stop Us Now. I love the Betsy Ross line on there. That one cracks me up every time he finishes that verse. But the number 1 record off the Untitled album, man, Busta Rhymes, man, God damn, Fried Chicken. That record is dope, man. Again, Nas with the concepts. You know, you gotta be high as fuck, man. You just sit there and you just like, man, dude, I'm gonna fucking like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna compare like a woman to fried chicken and shit. You know, you gotta be high as fuck to be doing shit like this, man. The dude is on his shit. You gotta be on another level to be coming up with that, man. But how him and Bus just bounce off of that. Bus didn't even rhyme. If you go back to that track, Bus didn't even rhyme. You know, he just spit some straight spoken word shit, man, but he was fly with it. You know, he was just fly with that shit. It was crazy. Clocking in at number 7, we're going to go with Life is Good. And this record is dope as hell, man. This is his Hear My Dear, as he puts it. You know, his Marvin Gaye, Hear My Dear. You know, this is at the point where him and Khalees, you know, called it quits. And, you know, he kind of made the concept of doing that, you know. I wonder who else is doing that these days. But anyway, so with this album here, man, I really like how, you know, it's really just Nas on his grown man shit. This is what kind of frustrates me with Life is Good, man, although I love this record, man. Why the bonus tracks got to be better than cuts on the record? Like, what's going on there, man? Like, if you got, like, the deluxe edition, or if you got the iTunes version of it, yo, there's, like, 3 or 4 better songs that could have easily slid in and replaced songs like Summer on Smash. My top 3 songs, like, some of these are bonus tracks, man. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and just name 4. I'm gonna name 4 on here. One of them is on the official album, but the other are bonus tracks, man. We got Stay, Nasty, Roses, and Trust. Why they didn't make the official version, I don't know. But I think they would have. I think they would have made the album a lot more memorable if they just would have got a proper placement personally. So that's how I feel about that one. Coming in at number 6, we got I Am. This is the 1999 first edition to his 2-album release. The first one being Nostradamus, you know, the lowest ranking on this list here. This one came out really dope, to be honest with you. You know, it's a nice commercial record for the 90s. We got DMX, we got Aaliyah, you know, we got Timbaland cuts on here, we got Scarface. You know, this is just Nas in his bag on a commercial tip. You know, I think he could have just released this one in 99 and just left Nostradamus, like, way over there. Like, that didn't have to come out at all. Like, that shit should have just stayed in the pocket. Nas touches different topics on this record, man. Like, he's on his mafioso shit. I love that. One of my favorite cuts on here is gonna be Favor for a Favor with him and Scarface. Oh my God. That record is so dope. I love the whole, nothing like that New York to Texas connection. And that's crazy, man. Being from Texas, I always had a connection with New York music. A lot of my peers, they was, only listening to, anything coming out of Texas. Swisher House, Roe, Trey, big up to Houston. But me, I was more of an East Coast guy, man. I like bars. I like, heavy spitters. I like rewinding music and being like, yo, what the fuck did he just say? Or, hearing something I know nothing about, where someone has like, their lyrics are so complex. And then like a year later, you watch like a movie or you see something in sports or something's mentioned in a commercial or some shit like that. And you're like, oh shit, that's what he was talking about. I love that shit. And, so I've always been like a lyric guy. I've always gravitated towards, East Coast stuff like that. But yeah, man, I Am is dope, man. Favor for a Favor's up there, like I just mentioned. Small World, the storytelling on that track is dope as hell, You got, Carol from Maryland, and he just goes in on this whole story of it, over a Timbaland track, man. Timbaland, shout out to him, man. He bodied that production. Honorable mention to Hate Me Now. I'll probably get bodied in the comments if I don't mention this track. That's classic Nas as well. Just didn't fall into my personal top 3. But the number 1 track on this record, man, shouldn't even be debated, man. Nas is like, oh my God, man. This record is so dope. This is an official Nas, this is like Nas classic shit right here, man. Like, this record is so dope. He goes in, classic Primo beat, talking about, taping CD covers to trees and shit like that, pulling the trigger on him and shit. I'm like, man, this guy's just going in. A little fun fact, Nas got me into, wanting to invest. I was, fucking teenager at that time. I didn't know anything about investing at that time, but so, let my cash invest in stocks. Came a long way from blasting text on blocks. I'm like, yo, man, invest in stocks. Shit, what's that about? So it's kind of helped me out throughout my life. So I'm blessed to have that, kind of knowledge kicked to me at a very young age to where, it caught my interest. And, I just started like doing some self-education on that, man. Put me in a better position as a man. Now, number 5, I'm probably going to get bodied for this too. Oh my God. But I feel like this is one of Nas's most underrated records of all time. Like, this record just, it gets so overlooked. And I think it's the double album effect that happens on this, man. But I gotta give it to Street's Disciple, man. It is very tough. It is very tough. Disc 1. Nas is going in bar for bar with this record. I do feel like I can see why someone might see this as maybe a mid record. So if this is lower on your list, I wouldn't feel bad about it. I wouldn't argue with it. But he's got hard ass cuts, man. I remember the summer of 2004, man. Thief's Theme came out on what was that shit? 106 in Park. And I was like, yo, Nas is like in his bag. Like, and he's bringing it back, you know what I'm saying? So very excited for this record when I saw that video, man. Like, it's just like he was gonna take it back to the streets. The record didn't go out that way. This was more of like celebratory as far as him getting married, and it was more coming of age, at least from coming from the perspective of the second disc. But man, that first disc though, man, like I feel like if you would have, there's like 12 to 13 songs. If you could have shortened this to 12 to 13 songs, easily could have been higher up. Some of my favorite cuts on here, I already mentioned one, Thief's Theme, classic. Another one's gonna be like kind of a cheat, man, but it's a two-parter. Again, Nas with the storytelling. Sekou Story and Live Now. God damn, man. With the whole Scarlet feature, man, which is, pretty much Nas with his, with the vocal pitch, which is again another just dope ass clever way to put out a track, and just creating this a whole other character, embodying a female character and her perspective on that, man, I think is very intelligent. But how he kicks off Sekou Story, oh my God. And then the second part of it, the scheming when the Scarlet verse comes in, very crazy, man. And how that goes into Live Now, how how that Sekou story moment was, you know, years have passed, and it's kind of like they older now. Nas is reflecting his life, you know, Scarlett's reflecting her life, you know, and it's just a dope ass track. Now, before I get into the top 4, I already mentioned in this video that Nas got 5 classic records. He got 5 classics, and I already mentioned one being the Lost Tapes, you know, that being a compilation record. It just didn't make the list. But these next 4, these are the other 4 classic records that I bunched up in that 5. You know, and I'm gonna kick us off with It Was Written. You know, 1996, baby. This record is dope as fuck, man. Coming off Illmatic, linking up with Trackmasters, coming up with, you know, changing this whole, you know, production scheme, you know, going a little bit more commercial. And how can you blame him, man? Like, people were, you know, selling millions of records. You know, Big was that dude, you know, as far as on the commercial tip, as far as, you know, oh, I can, you know, selling records, you know, and, you know, everybody was just moving, you know, everybody wanted to be that guy, that top guy. So Nas had to get commercial a little bit. He had to, you know, get a little bit more accessible with his production, but he still kept it street though. This record is like the perfect blend of that. Undeniable Nas album. My top 3 on this album is going to be number 3 being The Message. Number 2 off that record that I'm gonna go with, I Gave You Power. I ain't gotta say nothing else, man. That record is ill as fuck, man. Again, Nas with the concepts. Nas was like just coming up with these illest fucking concepts, man. And I Gave You Power is one of the illest fucking concepts you can come up with. Coming from a perspective of a gun, and like, you know, how you just like how you're being used in the hood to do bad, you know, committing crime, killing when you don't want to kill, everything you're seeing, being locked up on the shelf with a, you know, with a tech, you know, a rusty tech that's, you know, that's just crying. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. You know, dudes got bombs and shit and they safe. I'm like, yo, this record is just insane how he was able to hit it. But the number one record off It Was Written for me, Take It in Blood. This record, man, like he's just hitting shit so different. It just hit different. Skies are misty, my life predicted by a gypsy. I'll one day walk into shots drunk off champagne from Sicily. What? Like, come on, man. Like, I love that shit, man. And me being a big, you know, mafia, you know, mob movie guy, you know, I love that shit. I love when Nas is on his mafioso tip, man. Like, can't get enough of that, man. Like, just bar for bar, just you got it's on some. This is some shit that Lupe Fiasco has studied. I even think that Lupe said that this was his favorite track, man. I don't want to misquote, but 3, I got Godson. Now, I know a lot of people might put It Was Written above Godson, but this one just on the level that where I was at in my life when this album came out, perfect. This record was perfect. You know, losing a lot of family members at this time. And this was also around the time that Nas lost his mother. And, you know, that record just hit different too, man. Godson just is a special record for me, man. And I think that's an underrated Nas classic. I think that one needs to be right up there, you know, with It Was Written and the other 2 that I got on this list. My favorite 3 cuts off Godson, I'm going to go with the opener, Get Down. That James Brown sample is nasty. It hits. The storytelling on that track, on that one, man, especially that second verse, man, you know, about going out to, you know, to the Crenshaw funeral and being set up. It's just dope storytelling throughout the whole record on that track, man. Next track, Mastermind, man. That track is so smooth, you know, so dope. I love the hook on there, the bars, how smooth Nas comes in on it. Everything just hits, you know, very classy on that record. It should not be questioned that Made You Look is the best record off of that album. If you got another one, please mention that in the comments. Like, let me know which record is better on that one, because that's my number 1 off Godson. Now we down to number 1 and number 2, so we got a little bit of controversy here. You know, so I know I'm probably going to get stung in this one, but I got to put Illmatic at number 2. Before we go into it, before you guys start killing me in the comments, Illmatic is the greatest hip-hop album of all time. I don't think that's a question. A lot of people look at that album as the Bible. Like, there's just no question about that. All right? But I think for me, my age group, we have to look at the timing. I didn't hear Illmatic at that time. You know, I heard Stillmatic first. You know, so that lies the difference. You know, so just me, my age, and where I was at the time of my life, Stillmatic was my Illmatic. You know, if that makes sense to anybody. You know, but going back into Illmatic, I was like, yo, man, this shit is dope as fuck too. You know, like I see why everybody is like, you know, everybody is like looking at this guy like this, man, as like the illest lyricist ever. You know, I can see it, you know, I hear it, you know, but I wasn't 16 in 94. You know, I wasn't 18. I wasn't really like grasping the concepts of that. As a kid, not really chasing music like that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, so that's why it's just a special part for me is with Stillmatic. But enough with that. You know, we're going to go into, you know, the best 3 tracks for me on Illmatic. I'm going to have to go with Life's a Bitch. The back and forth with him and AZ is amazing. You know, even hearing them on that new Firm track on this new album, King's Disease. Wow, man, AZ sounds fucking amazing. Like this motherfucker, he ain't skipped a beat, man. He ain't lost a step. This motherfucker is still bodying the mic, man. Like, you know, Fox 2, I give it to Fox and Cormega 2, man. Everybody bodied on that. But, you know, that back and forth with Nas on Life's a Bitch, man. And people still to this day, they still debate who had the better verse. And me, I still don't know. I still like, man, he killed him here. But Nas said this. Ooh, but I don't know. All right, that's gonna be just etched in stone. My second favorite track on there is gonna be New York State of Mind, man. I kid you not. When people say this record makes you feel like you are in New York, goddamn, man. You know, I always wanted to, you know, go to New York, you know, and stuff like that. And I had that opportunity a few years back. And man, when I tell you, after like so many years of listening to Illmatic and then finally being in New York, it felt like I was in that album. You know, it may sound crazy to some, but that's how I felt about it. I feel like that the reason that album is so important because the city of New York City is in that album. Period. But my number 1 track on that record is gonna be It Ain't Hard to Tell. Michael Jackson sample. Come on, man. Nice way to close that record. So obviously at this point, you know what number 1 is. Stillmatic. Pretty much gave you all the points on why this record sits with me, but I didn't go into the points as far as why this album is so dope. Of course, you got Ether. All right, like there's no question there. One of the best diss rebuttals in hip hop history, no doubt. That shit is a verb now. It's crazy. This is Nas coming back as far as the commercial disappointment with the double release in 99 with I Am and Nostradamus. You know, everyone said Nas had fallen off. You know, Jay is coming up in the ranks. He's selling records. You know, he's calling king. And, you know, Nas hit him with that ether, man. Nas hit him with that ether. It was crazy. It's so crazy that still to this day, I still have debates with hardcore Jay fans about who won that battle. And it's so funny. It's like I would compare this to like the Michael Jordan, LeBron conversation as far as like, do the off-court accolades justify you being the greatest basketball player of all time? And me, I say no. You know, you got to leave it on the court. So same thing applies with hip hop. You know, Jay-Z, businessman, phenomenal. Great guy. You know, he's got bars as well. I'm not a Jay hater. I love Jay as well. You know what I'm saying? He's just not better than Nas. I'm sorry. You know, it's when it comes down to, you know, being in that studio, Nas has better bars. There's just no way to it. But you can't argue Jay as a businessman. You know, so, you know, that's the distinct, that's just my 2 cents as far as the whole thing. If y'all guys want me to dive into that whole Jay Nas back and forth, you know, I do have a lot more in depth than I can say in that. So if y'all want me to do a video on that specifically, man, just drop me a line, give me a like. But yeah, Stillmatic, man, it's just that coming back for Nas, man, and I fucking love it. Man. It was so dope. Just, you know, the bars, man, like Nas came like prepared for this, man. He knew what it was. He knew if it was like, yo, if I'm gonna name this shit Stillmatic and, you know, it's, you know, reflected in Illmatic, I gotta come with it, man. The 3 favorite cuts off this album are gonna be What Goes Around. That record is so dope. Nas just talking about everything related into like poison. Everything is poison. And he just keeps reciting poison, looking at the landscape of where the world is right now. And it goes back to this, the whole, you know, Ike with the Iverson jersey line that's in there, man. But my favorite line in that record, man, has to be when Nas says, life is short is what some niggas said, but not if you measure life by how one lives and what he did. That's one of the dopest lines I've ever heard in my life, man. Number 2, man, back to the crazy concepts. I see a lot of videos on YouTube about this damn track. Rewind. Wow. Classic track, man. Just telling the whole story of a hit in reverse, man. Like, who does that shit? Again, man, you gotta be super fucking high to be like, yo, man, I'm gonna tell a motherfucking song in reverse and shit. You know, about how we just kill a nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, like, who is doing this shit, man? Outside of, just raw talent. But the number 1 track on there, man, I gotta give it to One Mic. Classic song, classic single, one of Nas's best. You know, you can hear as far as Nas being at, being on the ropes at this time in his career, for him to hit a track like that, to where all he needs is one mic, fuck the bullshit. Yeah, I went commercial for a minute, but yo, I'm about to hit you with this real shit. You know, I figured it out now. You know, let me take this lesson and then go off of, show you my truths. And I think that was a very powerful track. So that does it, guys. That's the Nas discography, from top to bottom. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do want to talk more about music and some of these videos, man. I know we've been doing movies lately, but I feel like I really had to jump on this one, man. Again, Nas, my favorite MC. Salute to you, and I hope to see more music in the future, man. Because this new album, King's Disease, man, go check it out if you haven't, man. This shit is so dope. Like, comment, subscribe, and we're gonna have more in the future. Peace.